Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today is part 2 of the eBay repair challenge. This week is a mechanical item, so I thought what a good opportunity now to do what I love doing, and that's messing around with watches. So I've chosen an automatic watch. So this watch does not have a battery in it. It works via the movement of your wrist, so you don't even have to wind it up. If you wear it every single day, then there's a big weight in here, a rotor that spins, so you know there's like an off-centered weight, and every time you move your wrist, it moves round, wherever gravity is, it moves to, and it will slowly wind your watch up. So by you wearing it all day, it's just doing tiny little winds all the time, which is the same as keeping your watch fully wound up. So with this watch here, it was sold for £20 plus £7.50 postage. Shake it like mad, then it will start ticking, sometimes. Hold on. Basically, it needs a service. Okay, it's not go. There you go, it's going now. Yeah, but that will only go for a couple of minutes and then stop. Now, when I pull the crown out here, it does turn and everything, but it feels very stiff. Also, the day and the date do move, but again, everything just feels really, really stiff. So I think what's happened here is it just needs a service. Quite a few bashes here, so it looks like somebody else has also struggled. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's sort of come out quite nice, hasn't it? Right, so that gives me a good opportunity to clean this. This is acrylic, which you think is a bad thing, but it's not, because they're really easy to clean. You can just get yourself some like Polywash, rub it on there, and it's quite therapeutic, because even if it's really scratched, you feel it go rough, and then within like 10-20 seconds you feel it getting smooth, and they're really easy to clean up. While when it comes to like the mineral ones, they're really hard to clean. Right, okay, so it looks like there's a kind of rubber thing around the edge here, so let's see if we can loosen that. Just going to get a tiny screwdriver. It's like a rubber seal. Here we go. Now, I suppose the good thing is this movement is a 6309, and there does look to be a lot of them for sale. So if I do need spares, I've got a feeling the spares are going to be quite available and also quite cheap as well. Right, okay, that's come out there. Excellent. That needs a bit of a clean, but it's intact. Good thing about this watch is it does look to be in good condition. Right, okay, so I need to now take this movement out of this case because it's still in the case. Now normally with the cases I'm used to, I just kind of unscrew the back or pop off the back, but this is definitely different. So to remove the crown, there's normally a button you press in, but there is no button here because I can't get to the back of it. So I'm looking around the place and I can see that there is a tiny little hole here. So I'm thinking that this is probably where you remove the crown. Oh, right, okay, well, I just, yeah. Well, do you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. All the hands and everything just sprung straight off because I was putting so much pressure on here. So, I didn't use any tool or anything, but now at least this will come off here. Well, the dial feet are probably all bent. Let's see if I can work that off there. I should be able to turn that now anyway, shouldn't I? There we go. Right, now I should be able to work out what's happening. So let's zoom in again and see what's happening with this. See where this mystery lever is. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to undo the screw here to release this, to release the dial. Excellent. Good news is it doesn't look massively rusted up. If you look at that there, it all looks pretty good, doesn't it? And I'll be able to bend that back into place, hopefully. So it must be something that goes underneath and kind of levers up. I wonder, could I... Oh, hold on. And that's the rotor go around. I wonder, could I get a bit of metal, put it in there, and by pot luck kind of lifting it up, would I happen to just hit against the correct lever? Okay, so I've got a paper clip. I've just bent the end like that. Now obviously I don't know how long I have to do this. I'm just trying to replicate what the original thing would have done. Yes! Yes! Oh, brilliant. Look at that. Fantastic. I managed to get it out. Oh, what a relief. What a relief. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take it apart in a normal way, and you never know, when I take it apart I might find that it's been jammed in here or something, because, you know, I was poking around a lot to begin with, wasn't I? So I'm hoping it's in there. So let's get the camera set up so that my hands are not constantly in the way of it coming apart. And yeah, let's see what fun we can have with this. Self-winding part of the watch basically winds up this thing here, which winds up the mainspring. So if you listen, yeah, you can see that's winding. But we need to take the tension all out of this, otherwise when we take it apart it's going to go crazy on us. So I get a screwdriver and I'm going to just start to wind it until this part here that stops it from unwinding lifts out a little bit. And now I've just left that out there, and look, I'm just, can you see? Until all the power's gone from it. Actually, there's quite a bit in there. There we go. Yeah, and now it's completely, you can see now if I let go, there's nothing there. So now I can let go of that. Barrel. So in here is the spring. The spring gets fully wound up and then it wants to release all that tension straight away. But because of all the gears in the watch, it can't release it straight away. It can only release it bit by bit. And lastly, this wheel in the middle here. There we go. So that's it, all sorted. So what I have to do now is just give everything a really good clean. This has been completely dismantled. I'm going to be putting IPA, that's 99.9% alcohol everywhere, and I'm just going to be cleaning everything up. Right, so the parts that I'm not going to be cleaning in IPA are going to be the pallet fork, the balance wheel, because apparently it's bad for the jewels, they can fall out. Also things with print on, so obviously the dial, this calendar wheel, the day wheel as well, the plastics, rubber, stuff like that. So I'm only really going to be cleaning on with the IPA the metal stuff, so it's not going to cause any damage to it. So this is what I'm using for the initial part of the clean, and this is 99.9% alcohol. And I'm just using a little flux brush. That's the parts all cleaned up with IPA, and now I'm going to pop in quite a few of them into the ultrasonic cleaner. So I'm not going to put the balance wheel in, I'm not going to put the pallet fork in, but most of the gears and stuff, I'm not putting the plastic in, but most of the gears and also the case as well, I'm going to pop into the ultrasonic cleaner. Obviously, I'm not doing anything like this because then it will just take off the markings on it, and I'm not doing the dial. Okay, so here's the ultrasonic cleaner. It's just at 20 at the moment, it's just heating up. When it gets to 50, I will then turn it on over here for 30 minutes. In here is the ionised water and also jewellery cleaner, and I've just got a container with all the parts in there. Right, so what I'm going to do again now is I'm going to clean it with IPA again, and hopefully it will get off all of the solution, because I want these completely dry. So I've cleaned them all in IPA now, so I've just got to let it all evaporate off, which it will do. But to give it a little helping hand, I've got a little air duster here, so I'm just going to be spraying it down, and this will help evaporate off the IPA. So I'm going to be doing that on each of the parts before I put them on. So now basically I need to oil it as I put it back together. But now you will need to get some oilers or something like a small needle or something. Now oilers do work better than the needle because it seems to just let the oil drip off it easier, while the needle can sometimes let the oil stick to it. And now with the oil, there's all different types you can get. Remember, I'm not a professional at all. The oils are very, very expensive. So if you're only doing one watch, then you're not going to go out, if it's like a Seiko watch like this, and spend kind of £50 on one oil and £40 on another oil. If you want a kind of a cheaper oil that still does the job-ish, then I've got Mobius 8000s here. And this was probably, I can't remember how much it was. I think it was maybe, I don't know, it was definitely under £10, £7 or £8. But obviously it's a tiny, tiny, tiny thimble's worth. But saying that, it goes a long way. So yeah, that's going to keep me busy for quite a while now. Again, I'm just going to be fast forwarding through it. I'll stop every now and then along the way. If I have any problems, again, I'll film that along the way. This bit here is really fiddly. Got to line so many of the gears up. Really struggling trying to get this on. Excellent, right, I've got it. Right, I'm going to get a screw in that. That was just, I don't really know what I did. If I did it again, I'd fumble along the same way. It just suddenly went. I think it was this one here that was causing me trouble. The gear that was around, I'm presuming this one here. Right, okay, now if you have a look there, you can see when I move the mainspring there, all the others are moving. If you look at the escape wheel as well. Yeah. And also it sounds nice as well. Okay, so I've got that on now, and now if you watch this, if I give it a little wind, you can see it's whizzing around. There you go, and then it comes to a stop. So I just want to make sure this is done up nice and tight. Right, so I've got this pallet staff in now and put like the bridge over it. And now look, I've given it a couple of winds here just to put a bit of power into it. And watch, if I just tap it here, can you see it jumps over to the other side? And then tap it here and it jumps over. So basically that's what the balance wheel will hopefully do when it's going back and forth. Right, so this is the fun part now. I've got to try to get the balance wheel back in. Right, I had to give it a bit of a helping hand, but it looks like it's doing it now. I haven't put the screw in yet. Right, okay, I'm just going to watch that for a little while before I do that screw up, just to see if it's still going. So I'm just going to leave that now a couple of minutes. You can see now that this is going back and forth. Have a look in here. You can see the little escape going back and going around constantly, and that little pallet fork. Can you see it? In, out, in, out, in, out. Yeah? And then look, it's turning this one here. So what you're seeing turning now is, I believe, the second hand. So that's going round, you know, so that will do a revolution. It will do a full revolution in 1 minute. So from here all the way round. But isn't that lovely? So I'm going to pop the screw in here now. To get, I think we're pretty much done on this side now, and then try to get all the calendar side done. But look at that. Hope it's keeping good time. But if not, this is where I can adjust it. Can you see there's like a plus and a minus? So I can just move this a little bit that way or a little bit this way. But I've got to obviously get all the hands and everything on first, so I'm not out of the woods yet. Right, unfortunately, I'm running into problems. So basically, I just put the cannon pinion back on. And shortly before that, I noticed that it stopped turning, and I thought to myself, well, that's okay, you know, maybe I didn't put enough charge in it. But now what I've done is I've been winding it up, and it keeps stopping on me. So I don't know whether I've over-oiled it, or is it something to do with the fact that I haven't cleaned out these dia shocks, because there's a jewel here, and there's also one on the other side here for the for the top and bottom of the balance. You see there's one here and there's one here. Now I really didn't want to get involved in them because they're very fiddly, but the thing is right now this watch is not working properly, so I think I'm going to have to basically try to undo them. Appear to have it working again now, so you have to oil the flat. It's kind of obvious when you know, but it's the flat side of the jewel, because the jewel's got a flat one side and then slightly domed on the other side. You put the oil on the flat side and the oil goes against the pivot of the balance wheel. Right now it's working, and it's also working when I put it in different orientations. Yeah, so even like upside down it will still tick to the side, but it's only been doing this for a couple of minutes, so I don't know if it's going to work long term or not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on with the build over the other side now. Okay, so it looks like the calendar side's now done. So if I do it that way, you can see that the date is spinning round, and if I do it this way you can see that the date is spinning round, and also when I go around all the way and do 24 hours it does spin. So let me just show you that. It'll take quite a while to get through. There you go. Excellent. And also the good news is it's been around, I had to do a few other bits, so it's been around 6 hours or so now, and that's still oscillating back and forth. So whatever the issue was before, it's definitely solved now. Okay, it looks like I found out what the original fault with this one was. Now, obviously the jewels have a nice pink colour, and look in here, there's just like an empty hole. So then I thought to myself, oh, you know, I wonder, did I lose that? Did it come off in the ultrasonic cleaner? And I watched back the video, and as soon as I took this off, way before it went in the ultrasonic cleaner, when I was dismantling it, I pulled this one out, and my eye didn't see it, but it's on camera. You can see the remnants of the jewel in there, and it looks smashed. So I'm just going to show you that bit again now. Did you see that it looked cracked and smashed in here? Right, okay, I've got my replacement one, which is this one here. Now, if you can have a look, in here we now have the jewel. Well, it's not in here, but what's interesting is, on this one we just kind of had like a metal hole in the middle, but this one we have actually got a jewel, so this one is probably going to be a better plate anyway. So I'm now going to install this one into our one and see what happens. Back to where we were now before I noticed that broken plate here. So let's try to put the rest together and then see if it keeps sticking or not. Okay, so I've got the rotor back on now, and I'm looking at this tiny little wheel here. It's going to be very hard to see on the camera, but when I move it around this way I can see it's moving round anti-clockwise. And when I move it around this way, it's moving anti-clockwise. So these pull and push little levers here are actually doing their job. So now I just need to put the dial on and get the hands on, and then I can start to see whether it's going to keep okay time or not. Okay, you can see it's now ticking along, and basically I've set it. It's 141 and 31 seconds at the moment. So it's about 1 or 2 seconds fast. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to bed, and because I've been on this all day, and I'm going to see what sort of timekeeping it's keeping in the morning, because I really don't know how accurate this is going to be. It might be like minutes out per day, it might be an hour out per day, I really haven't got a clue. But yeah, I'm really happy with it so far. So let's see what it's like in the morning. Okay, look at it. It's the next morning now, and it's been running fine. It's switched over. I had the wrong day on it. That was my own fault. I was a day behind. But check that out. Look, 11:09:07, 10. From memory, it was about 1 second fast last night. So at this moment in time, bearing in mind I haven't been wearing it, it has just been on the bedside table. It hasn't lost any time whatsoever. So that doesn't mean it's not going to lose time when it's on its front or its side, but I'm not going to regulate that. I'm completely happy with it. So what I've done is I've closed up the back, just clipped it back into place. I'm going to get some polywatch, and I'm just going to clean up the crystal a tiny bit. It already looks near enough immaculate, but there's a few little swirls on it. So I'm just going to do that. And then put the strap back on it, and I'm going to call it a day. So this is what I'm going to be using. And this is for acrylic, so basically the plastic ones. Move over to a soft cloth. Okay, now I'm just going to pop the strap back on it. Right, there we have it. So let's get some nice close-up shots. Okay, here it is, the final wrist shot, and I'm happy with how it's come out. You can see that it looks relatively clean, and it looks in okay condition, especially if it's from 1988. It's got quite a bit of age to it now. So do I like this watch? Well, I love the square face. I love the fact it's got a black dial. I really like that. I also like the fact it's got a day and a date. What I don't like is the thickness of the strap lug to lug. That's 22 millimeters, which I think is huge for the size of the actual watch itself. I think if that was 18 or 19, even 20 would have been so much better. I just think it looks a little bit wide in comparison to the size, especially on a small wrist like mine. But then again, that's just personal preference. Other people might like it. Maybe it might look better on a NATO strap, I don't know. But this strap came with it, so that's what I'm going to sell it with. So now, will it make a profit? Not sure, because by the time you take into account eBay and PayPal fees, then as well as that, I had to get the bridge with the jewel in it. So I think it's probably going to be unlikely, but still, hopefully it might not make too much of a loss. So you're going to find out what it's sold for right now. Okay, so here's the listing on eBay. It's on for £60, but unfortunately I'm going to have to pull the listing because, annoyingly, today it's stopped. And it's stopped again now. It's already stopped 3 times today. So it's worked fine for 3 days. And then what happened was it was running a little bit quick. So I demagnetized it. When I demagnetized it, it stopped working. And now, today, unfortunately, it keeps stopping. So it worked for a few hours and then stop again. So at this moment in time, this watch is unsellable. I am going to take the back off just off camera, see if I can work out what's going on. Hopefully now when I put this back together, at long last we will have this working, because I have spent so many hours on this. So let's get this back together and let's see if it's keeping good time. Okay, it's quite a few days later now, and although you're still looking at a ticking watch, unfortunately I can't sell this watch as a working watch because it keeps stopping. It might work for 30 minutes and stop, it might work for a day and stop, it might work for an hour, it might work for 1 minute, it might work for 6 hours. It is so inconsistent, but it just stops, and then you have to give it a shake, and then it starts working again for another 5 minutes, hour, 2 hours, a day, etc. So unfortunately it doesn't work as its intended purpose, and that is to tell the time. So I'm having to sell this as a spares or repair. As well as that, it turns out that it's 1978, so this watch is 41 years old, so it's got quite a bit of age to it. Now I've been completely honest with the listing. I've said I've tried to repair it, I said it's missing the lever, so we'll have to see what happens. I've got it on for £30 or best offer. I'm hoping I might be able to get a similar price to what I paid for it, but who knows, because now I've definitely said that the thing is faulty. So bit of a shame. I really would have liked to have got this fixed properly, but I've spent days upon days on this. I can't take it apart anymore. I'm worn out from working on it. So yeah, big failure on this one, but still, at least I do know the movement a lot better now, and hopefully if I ever come across 6309 movement in the future, at least I might have a better chance of being able to fix it. So if you've got any enjoyment from the video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for the rest of this challenge. Take care. Bye now.